Good morning, friends. I think all of you are happy, safe, and healthy. Myself, Jayashri Teli, welcomes you in virtual video class of English drama. We are studying, discussing on module number 6, comedy as a form. In last three videos, we discussed on the origin of comedy, history of comedy, and definition and elements of comedy. Today, let us turn towards the types of comedy. We also discussed about the two types in old period and medieval period, that is classical comedy and romantic comedy. Then now we will discuss in modern age what we today learn about types of comedy. The development of comedy shows us different types. Classical comedy, all of you are looking the different types of comedies noted on the screen. That is, first is classical comedy, romantic comedy, comedy of humours, comedy of minors, sentimental comedy, comedy of errors, mass, farce, tragicomedy, comedy of intrigues, black comedy, burlesque, and festive comedy. These are near about 13 types. Some of them are major types of comedy and some of them are minor types of comedy. We have to study, discuss all of these types. And these types of comedy is divided in three videos. I will divide it in three videos. So, short but sweet is very important. So, our video should be near about or more than 20 or 20 to 23, 24 minutes, and that's why we have a time bound, and that's I divide these types of comedy in three videos, which helps you. One more thing is that you should listen often, or you should repeat the listening of these videos or looking of these videos. If you have any problems, please connect me. आपल्याला व्हिडिओज अनेक वेळा ऐकावं लागेल, कारण हा एकमार्गी संभाषण आहे. पण ऑनलाईन क्लासेसपेक्षा व्हिडिओज जर आपण बघत असाल तर नक्कीच मला खात्री आहे की ते वारंवार बघायला मिळाल्यामुळं, ऑनलाईन क्लासमध्ये आपलं फक्त एकदा डिस्कशन होतं, पण इथं वारंवार बघायला मिळाल्यामुळं तुम्हाला ते योग्य रीतीनं समजेल. अँड दॅट्स वाय I choose the way of video better than online classes, and it helps you whenever you are free. You will do it. That's why it is a better thing. Today I will discuss on classical comedy, romantic comedy, and comedy of humours. Okay, these three comedies I will discuss today. Look here on the page. You are looking classical comedies. Yes, today I changed my structure of the PPT also. There is the good picture of classical comedy also, that helps you or it motivate you in reading. It makes your entertain also. You will not bored. So, classical comedy. Classical comedy is a kind of comedy where author follows the classical rules of ancient Greek and Roman writers. Look here. What is classical comedy? Classical comedy is a kind of comedy where author follows the classical rules classical rules of ancient Greek and Roman writers. This type of comedy modeled upon classical comedies, and the writers or the playwrights of this classical Greek or Roman comedies are Plautus, Tyrannus, Aristophanes. These are Plautus, Tyrannus and Aristophanes. These are the classical writers or the dramatists or the playwrights who wrote classical comedies. They are well-known writers. Classical writers follow the rules of comedies of ancient Greek and Roman comedies or ancient Greek and Roman writers. What are these classical rules? That is also important. Then when we turn towards the classical rules, we learn or studied three unities which are very important for drama. When we study drama, three unities are very important in place. What are these three unities? Yeah, you know it. Three unities, time, place and action are three unities of the plays. These three unities are plays most important role in play. So every writer should follow these three unities. But we see that Elizabethan writers they not care for these three unities. But before Elizabethan playwrights, the three unities strictly followed by the writers. These three unities are time, place and action. And one more rule of the classical comedy is that in ancient Greek or Roman playwrights or writers, they never mix tragedy and comedy with each other. For them, tragedy is tragedy and comedy is comedy. Look here. For the ancient Greek and Roman writers, tragedy is tragedy. Comedy is comedy. There is no mixture or mingling of tragedy and comedy. And last one classical rule of the ancient Greek and Roman playwrights is the aim of comedy is satire in nature. What is aim of comedy? Is satire in nature. There is, today we see that when we think about contemporary period, today, aim of comedy is entertain society. But it is not the aim of classical comedy. The aim of classical comedy is to satire in nature. Not the aim of comedy is not entertain society, but to correct them. Entertainment is not the aim. So, what we studied in classical comedy, we studied that dramatists should follow the rules of classical comedy very strictly. The rules of ancient Greek and Roman writers. This classical comedy playwright follows or they followed ancient Greek Roman playwrights. Who are the ancient Greek and Roman playwrights? Plautus, Tyrannus and Aristophanes. These are three classical writers which today known as the classical comedy writers. Then what are the classical rules? That classical rules, the first is that to follow three unities, time, place and action are the three unities of the playwright. Not a playwright, but it is time, place and action are the three unities of writing. It is related with, it should be followed by, three unities should be followed by the dramatist. Then one more thing is that for them tragedy is tragedy, comedy is comedy. So there is no mixture of tragedy and comedy with each other. Both are the different things. And the aim, when we think about the aim of comedy, it is a satire in nature. It is a satire in nature. The aim is not to entertain the society but satire the nature of any person or any society. Okay, I think all of you learned it. Now we turn towards the next type, that is romantic comedy. We also discussed on the romantic comedy when we studied the classification of play in old periods or in medieval periods. What is romantic? Romantic comedy is a type of comedy where dramatist does not follow the classical rules of comedies. Which rules we studied in the classical comedy? All these rules are not followed in romantic comedy. Then what is followed here? Yes, dramatist highlights his own imagination. Dramatist writes what he think, he writes what he imagine. Dramatist here in romantic comedy, dramatist was free to write what he think, he was free to imagine whatever his mind wants. He was free from rules and regulation. In short, what the playwright or the dramatist does not follow the classical rules, and dramatist he writes what he think, what he imagine. He however is free to what he do, what he want. And one more thing and very important is that we see that in classical comedy, tragedy is tragedy and comedy is comedy. But in romantic comedy, that's a mixture of tragic and comic elements, or the mingling of tragic and comic elements. There is mingling of or the mixture of tragic and comic elements in single drama or in single play. Three unities of the play were not followed. I already told you that. There is no need to follow the three unities of the plays. These three unities was noted by Aristotle in his Poetics. Unity of action, place and time. So there is no necessary to follow these unities. Then one more thing is that, but then what is the aim of romantic comedy? The aim of classical comedy is satire the nature of society. Then what is the aim of romantic comedy? It's very different. Aim of romantic comedy is to entertain audience or the readers only. Here is no need of satire or the correcting society, but entertain audience or the reader is the main aim of romantic comedy. No other purpose like giving moral lessons or correcting society. Means there is no purpose or no intention behind writing romantic comedy, just like giving moral lessons, correcting society or such a things only, or satire. Only the aim is entertain audience or the readers. We have to, I mentioned here, sorry I am not mentioning in this slide the examples, but listen carefully. Thomas Lodge Rosalindi, Shakespeare's As You Like It, Much Ado About Nothing, Walt Disney, Cinderella, and these are Girls, Guys and Dolls. These are some of the plays of or some of the examples of romantic comedy. Once again, I am repeating the examples. Thomas Lodge Rosalinda, Shakespeare's As You Like It, Much Ado About Nothing, Walt's Disney, and Cinderella. These are the examples of romantic comedy. I think all of you learned romantic comedy. Lessons one. I'm also repeated you that you should repeat the listening of this video or watching this video. That helps you in understanding. If you have any doubts, please contact me. Comedy of humours. Third type of comedy is comedy of humours. This type of comedy or the comedy of humours was a type of comedy developed by Ben Jonson. It is based on ancient psychological theory. Look at comedy of humours is a type of comedy, and this type developed by Ben Jonson. He is the pre-Elizabethan writer, or he maybe there is pre-Elizabethan and Elizabethan also, and based this type comedy or the comedy of humours based on ancient psychological theory of their four humours named blood, plagon, clover, and melancholy, whose mixture has helped to determine both a person's physical condition and character type. Ancients believed that human ancient peoples believes that human body is made of air, water, fire, and earth. Human body is made of air, water, fire, and earth. आपल्याला माहिती आहे की हे मानवी शरीर पंचमहाभूतांनी बनलेलं आहे असं आपण म्हणतो. पृथ्वी, जल, वायू, अग्नी आणि आकाश अशा पंचमहाभूतांनी बनलेले हे मानवी शरीर. इट इज accepted by all over the world, and so ancient people our ancients believes that human body was made of four elements: air, fire, water, and earth. Then the thing is that if the quantity of any of these four quality is called humor, if there increases the quantity of any of their four qualities called humor. Then for understanding humor we have to learn the what mean by air, water, fire, earth in comedy or in literature or in general our life. पंचमहाभूतांचं त्या ठिकाणी आपल्याला अर्थ माहीत असणं गरजेचं आहे. अग्नी कशाचं प्रतीक आहे, सिम्बॉल कशाचे आहे ते, एअर, वॉटर, फायर सिम्बॉलाइज or they stands for what, then only we understand it. The increase the quantity of their quality called as a humor. Here fire stands for ill-temperedness, air stands for lofty temperament, water stands for cold temperament, and earth stands for down to earth nature. And so these four: fire, air, water, earth stands for different temper of the human being. And this type also called as a satiric comedy or corrective comedy. This comedy of humors also called as a satiric comedy or a corrective comedy. Comedy of humors shows dark side of humanity and use laughter as a satiric weapon. Here, laughter is used as a satiric weapon. Ben Johnson's Full Pond is the best example of comedy of humors. It is the best example of comedy of humors. Right? Once again, I repeat the important points regarding comedy of humors. What is meant by comedy of humors? First, it is developed by Ben Jonson, and this comedy of humors based on the ancient psychological theory. According to our ancients or our ancient peoples, human body is made of 4 elements. What are these 4 elements? Air, water, fire and earth. If the increased quantity of any of these 4 elements, if the quality of these 4 elements, any one's quantity increased, it is called as a humor. Then the element fire. Fire stands for ill temperament, air stands for lofty temperament, water stands for cold temperament, earth stands for the down to earth nature. These are the different temperaments of human beings also. So, this type is called as also satiric comedy or corrective comedy. Means it helps, the aim of this comedy is to correct the society. Satire is a weapon. It shows dark side of humanity. What is going wrong in human beings is showed through these humors. And the use of laughter. Laughter is the best satiric weapon for in comedy of humors. When we turn towards the examples, the best example is Ben Johnson's Whole Phone. Best example of comedy of errors. Thank you very much. We stop here. If you have any doubts, please contact me. Thank you.